Hello, welcome to Cafe Snacks. The most wanted current happenings for UPSC, SSC, and other state administrative examinations. It is all learned, and this is Shyam here. Let us move on to the first discussion. So, there is a news article in the Hindu, an agriculture led revival as flawed claim. So, this article speaks about the improvement in agriculture sector, but the particular article highlights that the improvement that are seen in the agriculture sector will not lead an economic revival in the country. So the topic is, can agriculture lead economic revival? As part of the syllabus in the prelims, it comes in Indian economy, and in mains it is part of GS3 economy. So the author's view on the article that why there is a speculation on agriculture revival is that the Indian food grain production in 2019-20 was 3.7 percentage higher than 2018 and 19 production, and the procurement of rabi wheat in 2020 to 21 was 12.6% higher than in the 2019-20 period. That means the previous period. These indicate that it is argued the resilience in the agriculture sector. So the author says that due to this phenomenon of increase in production, in food production, and also due to the procurement of rabi wheat, people have thought that there is going to be a revival in the agriculture sector. Now, and also the food inflation in the first quarter of 2020-21 is at 9.2%, and it was higher than in the previous year due to sustained demand for food. So there was a sustained demand for food that led to food inflation in the first quarter of 2020 to 2021. This shows a shift of terms of trade in favors of agriculture. And also, the area under kharif sowing in 2020 to 21 was 14% higher than in the last year. And also, the higher kharif sowing was accompanied by higher tractor and fertilizer sales, which bodes well for economic recovery. And also, the government's economic package for agriculture as part of the 20 lakh crore Atmanirbhar package will further position agriculture as the engine of revival. So the author says that due to all these reasons, there is a speculation that the agriculture sector is going to lead an economic revival in the nation. And why agriculture sector grow in the first quarter of the 2020 to 21? Because during the lockdown, the state governments in many northern states put in considerable efforts to ensure that the procurement did not suffer. And also, as a result of the procurement of the rabi wheat, which was higher in 2020 to 2021. However, as per the official data, only 13.5% of paddy farmers and 16.2% of wheat farmers in India sell their harvest to a procurement agency at an assured MSP, that is minimum support price. So the inflation rates that is estimated using the consumer price index. So you need to understand that consumer price index is a particular index that is used to calculate the inflation rate. How much is consumed by the consumer of the nation gives us an information about how much inflation there is going to be in the country. And the inflation rates are not representative of farmers' prices, but this particular rate indicates the consumption and not the production or how does the farmer prices increases. And the inflation was largely due to disruptions in supply chains and rise in trader margins. So due to disruptions in supply chains, there was inflation. Inflation means there is increase in price for agriculture products. Then there is no surprise in the growth of kharif sowings in 2020 because of all these factors. And given that rabi incomes fell during the lockdown, many rural households may have returned to farming. So that is also a reason. Due to the fall in rabi incomes, many have returned to farming or intensified farming for food and income security. Lakhs of migrant workers returned to their villages from urban areas. This is also another reason for increase in agriculture sector production, and prices have increased in agriculture related products. Now, the suggestion to improve that is given by the author is that instead of front-loading the installments of PM Kisan, the government should have doubled the payments to farmers from 6,000, that is 6,000 is paid in 3 installments to the farmers a year, to 12,000 a year. There need to be doubling of installments paid under PM Kisan. And also, instead of moratorium on loan repayments, that means there is an extension of period at which a farmer who is in distress can repay the loan. The government should have waived the interest on loans taken by farmers in 2019 and 2020. And also, instead of vague loan based schemes in animal husbandry, the government should have announced a package of direct assistance for crisis ridden poultry and meat sectors amounting to at least 20,000 crore. So, these are the things that the government need to do and does not need to estimate that the agriculture is going to lead a revival in the economy, because that is a false assumption according to author. So let us move on to the next discussion. Now there is an article regarding the aging population of China, the great graying of China. In the syllabus, in the mains part, it is under GS paper 1. It consists of the societal aspects of the Chinese economy, and we need to extrapolate that with Indian society. And also in GS3 part regarding the economic sector. The topics is that the factors contributing to total factor productivity. So you need to understand what is total factor productivity. Now China's one-child policy was conceived by Deng Xiaoping in 1979 to seek popular support for Chinese Communist Party after Mao's disastrous Great Leap Forward and Cultural Revolution. So there was two disastrous policies adopted by late Mao Zedong, that is the Great Leap Forward and Cultural Revolution, and that has led to a great economic distress in China. And also due to China's one-child policy, there was no enough populace in the country in order to work. And also, the average birth rate in China has fallen to 1.6 births per woman, according to National Bureau of Statistics of China. This particular rate is much lesser than the rate required at 2.1% in order to ensure that there is a working population in the next generation. And here the total factor productivity has helped many nations. That means why the total factor productivity is spoken about here? Because this particular factor has helped a lot of nations to improve their population replacement rate and also to be a better economy. So when the economy is hampered by the population replacement rate reduction, the total factor productivity in the economic sector will lead the nation. What are the factors for economic growth? That is the first thing you need to understand. Before understanding total factor productivity, you need to understand what are the factors for economic growth of a nation. Economic growth is a function of the quantity of inputs such as labor, capital employed for productive purposes along with factor productivity. That means inputs are very much important for enhancement of economic growth in the nation. And it is intuitive that if more people are employed, more goods and services would be produced. Over time, due to rise in population, labor employed increases, and due to accumulation, capital also increases in an economy. So when there is better population, better skilled labors, better employment, capital will also increase in the nation, and rise in productivity enables an economy to grow faster with the same set of labor and capital being employed. That is to be remembered. So the major thing is that you need to have proper labor and also proper capital. Then what is total factor productivity? Total factor productivity is derived as a ratio of the total production and weighted average of inputs such as labor and capital. Simply speaking, it is a ratio of the input to that of the output. That means it is just the inverse of input to output. That means it is output ratio to input ratio. The measure gives us the growth in real output, which is in addition to the growth in inputs such as labor or capital employed for productive purposes. So TFP gives us the relationship between the quantity of factors employed and the output in an economy. So that is very much important. Now, what are the factors affecting TFP? India can improve its TFP by undertaking bold market and structural reforms that will unshackle its productive capacity. And stuck in primary sector of the economy. That means India is always stuck in the primary sector of economy. So basically, most of the labor is in agriculture sector and it is dependent on service sector. Whereas the tertiary sector is under distress. Such reforms can cause relocation of land and labor from primary to other sectors of the economy, thus enhancing the productivity and investments in the physical structure such as highways, dedicated corridors, etc. So there should be a proper investment in the physical infrastructure in order to change the structure of the economy totally and change it to a market-based manufacturing economy rather than an agriculture-based economy. These are the factors that will help an economy to grow, and these are the factors that will also help to increase the TFP of the nation. Let us look into this particular news article. That is, the California wildfires is growing bigger. As part of the syllabus in the prelims sector, it is in environment and biodiversity, and the topic is about California wildfires growing bigger. And why is this is the important factor which you need to remember for the examination perspective. Why? Because higher temperature and strong winds have made the situation even worse. These two are the contributing factors. A heat wave baked Southern California over the weekend, and Death Valley recently reached 130 degree, which if confirmed would be the highest temperature ever reliably recorded on the planet. Death Valley is a place in Southern California, and Southern California having a dry temperature is very much prone to California wildfires. So the reason is the changing climate. The first is California's climate. So that is the first reason. California, like much of the West, gets most of its moisture in the fall and winter. Its vegetation then spends much of the summer slowly drying out because of a lack of rainfall and warmer temperatures. That the vegetation then serves as kindling for fire. So this dry vegetation will lead to fire. And the man-made factors also contribute. In the recent years, purely maintained infrastructure for electricity supply have sparked a number of large fires, and at the same time several have been ignited by discarded cigarette butts. So that's all about this particular news article. Let us move on to the next article. So there is an article which speaks about the position of deputy speaker. Now the syllabus regarding prelims, it is part of polity and governance, and the topic is regarding deputy speaker and deputy chairman of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and about the constitution, what the constitution speaks about this particular post. The backdrop is that the Lok Sabha speaker Om Birla said that if there is a provision for the post of deputy speaker in the Lok Sabha, then there must be a deputy speaker, but deputy speaker has to be chosen by the house and not appointed by Lok Sabha speaker. So that is the backdrop of the issue, and let us look into what the constitution speaks about deputy speaker. Article 93 of the constitution provides for election of both the speaker and deputy speaker. The constitutional office of deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha is more of a symbolic of parliamentary democracy than some real authority. So it is much more symbolic position, and there is no need to resign from their original party, though as deputy speaker they have to remain impartial. So there is no need to resign from their original party to become a deputy speaker. And the roles and function is that they act as a presiding officer in case of leave or absence caused by death or illness of the speaker of Lok Sabha. So if the speaker is having any problem, then the office will be presided over by deputy speaker. And also, regarding the election, the deputy speaker is elected in the first meeting of Lok Sabha after general elections from amongst the members of the Lok Sabha. It is by the convention that position of deputy speaker is offered to the opposition party in India. So it is the opposition party member who attains the position of deputy speaker. Now, what about the tenure and removal? They hold office until either they cease to be a member of the Lok Sabha or they resign. And also, they can be removed from office by a resolution that is passed in Lok Sabha by an effective majority of its members. So, effective majority means the total members of the house minus the total members who are absent. So, that means the effective majority is the person who is currently present in the house. So, that's all for today. Thank you.